You know, it's not just Australia that's killing itself with global warming bans. Europe is the same. It's now desperately short of electricity. But for the most clownish and immoral example, you've got to go to America under President Joe Biden. He made a big fuss about going green. He banned a pipeline to bring oil from Canada. He restricted drilling for oil on public land and told the Green Heckler just last month his bans had worked.
No more drilling. There is no more drilling.
But the trouble, of course, the less oil you dig, you get out of the ground, the less gas, well, the higher the prices, especially for petrol now. And Biden is panicked. He's thinking, where else can I go to get more of this oil without, you know, opening up America again and not looking so green? I know, let's go and beg Saudi Arabia for more. He's heard they've got oil there. And in July, he even gave a fist bump to the Crown Prince that he'd earlier called a murderer, pleading with the Crown Prince for more oil from the Middle East. But Saudi Arabia, alas, they humiliated him by getting oil-producing countries to produce less oil, not more, to further bump up prices. So, what could Biden do? What is his latest trick? To seem green, but without running short of the fossil fuels that all modern economies find they actually need. Joining me is Ami Horowitz, American commentator and filmmaker. Ami, always great to see you. We've got another grubby deal now, and this time European countries are in on it too.
Yeah, it's really incredible what this administration, how poorly run this administration is. And yeah, so what has happened is the administration is now allowing Venezuela, the pariah state Venezuela, to drill and to produce oil when he's not allowing American producers to produce oil here at home. It is astounding. It's astonishing. Andrew, I've been to Venezuela. I was there over the last few years. I saw the devastation, the havoc wreaked on its own people by this despicable administration, the Maduro administration. I saw the bread lines. I saw people were killed on the street in front of me, the absolute poverty, the human rights abuses. Yet, this administration is allowing them to produce oil with an American company producing it for them so they can have jobs and export cash to their country while our country isn't able to do it. It is unbelievable, and it makes absolutely no sense.
The Trump administration had said, well, the last election was stolen, and therefore it put sanctions on Venezuela, and it also said to the opposition, well, you know, you guys, you can have the Venezuelan assets overseas. It says now, well, look, we're excusing this deal with Venezuela because we have actually forced the government to negotiate now with the opposition for a fund to make Venezuelans better off. Is that a good enough excuse for you?
How naive and stupid do they think that we are? No, of course it doesn't hold any water because Maduro isn't going to let go of power. It's going to make absolutely no difference whatsoever. In fact, it's going to have the opposite effect because the hard currency is going to help prop up the regime. And then the beyond that is the absolute insanity and stupidity of the science itself. You know, they purport to say, hey, we want to have less CO2 in the air, right? Okay, fine. But why don't you stick with that? Last time I checked the science was about 15 minutes ago. I don't think it's changed since then. CO2 produced in Venezuela or CO2 produced in the United States makes no difference to global warming or climate change whatsoever. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Venezuela has very heavy and dirty oil that takes a longer time to refine as opposed to the light, sweeter crude that we produce here in the United States.
It's just so extraordinary, isn't it? Like, they think they can get away with it. They're really getting other people to dig up their oil for them, but Americans can't do it for themselves. It's totally beyond me. Now, Joe Biden has also made a fuss about being very pro-transgender. His administration made this person, Rachel Levine, a 4-star general, and then made a second appointment, Sam Brinton, now on the right of her, a nuclear expert, as Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Office of Spent Fuel and Waste Disposition, in charge of nuclear waste. Despite his fetish for sex with men dressed as dogs, and Brinton also said how proud he was to be a first, something that many of the media also hailed as progress. Here he is.
I've never seen a person in any of my jobs who looked like me. But now I have received hundreds of cards from young trans and non-binary kids who say they can't wait to grow up to be a nuclear engineer. If that's the new stereotype, trans people are nuclear engineers, I'm okay with it.
Amy Horowitz, much was made of this guy being the first. Isn't it now time to acknowledge he's also the first transsexual in high office in America that's gone and stolen a woman's suitcase from a carousel at an airport?
Look, I have no issue if the best person for the job is a transgender person. That's totally fine with me. Even if, you have these weird sexual picadillos, that's also fine with me, as long as you're the best person for the job. But right now, he's got 2 transgender people in the administration, and he is 0 for 2. Rachel Levine, who has a very significant job in administration, this is a person who, while she was the head of Health and Human Services in her state of Pennsylvania, this is a person who forced, just like the Governor Cuomo in New York, forced old age homes to take in COVID-positive people, leading to the death of thousands of people in Pennsylvania, while, by the way, I should add, took her mother out of that old age home and saving her. So this is 0 for 1. And now you have another person who, again, look, I don't care if you're into, by the way, tying up people like dogs. I'm not sure you're supposed to tie up dogs. I'm not sure that's the way this works these days. I don't care if you're a brony, but at the end of the day, you're talking about a person who's so stupid. I mean, it's a person who stole a $2,500 suitcase. By the way, I didn't know that suitcase was that expensive. Mine's $19.99. And stole it in an airport which has cameras in every single angle that these buildings have, stole it, left with it, actually even came back and tried to travel with it again, and then lied to the police about it, which I have to assume this person has to know that they're on camera. It's beyond belief that he could hire such stupid and irresponsible people. That's the bigger problem for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, I totally agree. Look, the 2 transgender people that I know personally, one helped when I was young, helped me form a dance band, lovely person. And the second was a former army officer who I think is tremendously moral. But I've got to take issue. I mean, wouldn't something in the background of this guy, suggest that perhaps this person could not be expected to behave conventionally, perhaps wasn't committed to building trust? I mean, wouldn't there be a couple of little red flags about his behaviour, or her behaviour, or their behaviour, however you want to put it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the proof in the pudding. The administration is 0 for 2. Clearly, they're choosing people not based on skill set. They're choosing people based on the fact that they are transgender. That's the point. That's why they're doing it. They want to jump up and down and say, look how diverse we are, look how open, look how tolerant we are, while not giving a crap about the qualifications of the persons themselves. In fact, Rachel Levine, I think, was disqualified by her actions in Pennsylvania for that job. So, yeah, I think they've done a very poor job choosing who they're going to choose who are transgender to bring into the administration.
Well, I think a guy also prancing around with some other guy on all fours with a dog tail and sort of dog ears on him. I don't know if they're really cut out for high office. Between you and me, that's what I think. Amy Horowitz, thank you so much indeed for your time.
Always a pleasure.